Assalamu alaikum. Hi students and friends. So today we are going to talk about one of the poem that is taught in class intermediate, which is also known as the class second year. And the title of this poem is Seven Ages of Man. Basically, it's a speech taken from William Shakespeare's play As You Like It. Let me introduce myself to you. I am Tariq Hayat Lashari, and I'm lecturer in English at Government Islamia Science College, Sukkur. So let's get on with it. William Shakespeare, the poet who wrote this poem, was born on 26 April 1564, and he died on 23rd April 1616. William Shakespeare is known as the famous English poet, actor, director, and dramatist. And he is also regarded as one of the greatest writers in English language. There are so many titles which are attributed to William Shakespeare, just as he's called as National Poet of England, Bard of Avon, the Poet of Human Nature, the father of romantic dramas, etc., etc. Let's talk about its reference. As I told you earlier, that this poem has been taken from William Shakespeare's drama As You Like It. Actually, it's a speech delivered by Yorks, one of the character, in Act III, Scene 8 of the play. Let me give you a little background of that. There's a group of noblemen who are living a life of exile in the forest of Arden, and they are there hiding from the prosecution of the king, and there this speech takes place. The context is that Shakespeare is comparing the world to a stage and the life to a play, and this life, as Shakespeare has categorized, or you can say has broken into 7 stages or periods, which is starting with infancy, means infant, schoolboy, lover, soldier, justice, pantaloon, old age, and facing imminent death, which is also known as the later old age. Let's get started with the poem. First 4 lines of this poem are basically the monologue, means the self-speech. So, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and entrances, and one man in his lifetime plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. So here in these 4 lines, the Shakespeare wants to say that this world that we live in, the world that is full of trees, rivers, mountains, skies, here all the men and women are merely players, just as in drama. They come at their proper time to perform their play. Over here, the Shakespeare line number 3, the word exits means the departure, means the death, and the word entrances mean the arrival, the birth. So here a man plays many parts, means he performs several roles, and these roles or these acts are called as 7 ages. Now we are moving to the stage number 1, and in here the Shakespeare says, at first the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. The word mewling here means the cries. Yes, of course, it's the common trait of a baby is to cry for milk. And also when the baby takes enough milk, the baby pukes. And the nurse means the mother, the one who takes care of that baby. Stage number 2. Here Shakespeare calls it the age as a schoolboy, or in other words, the childhood. Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwillingly to school. In these words, the Shakespeare lines, in fact, Shakespeare wants to say that the schoolboy in his second stage whines. He's unwilling to go to school, though his parents give him a bag, the satchel, and parents prepare the child and comb his or her hair, put on dress, but that child moves towards the school in a very slow fashion, just like a snail. So here, like a snail is the simile that Shakespeare has used. Creeps means moves like snail, unwillingly. So the child is not willing to go to school. He wants to stay home. He wants to stay with his parents. So stage number 3. So the third stage is the stage in which the Shakespeare calls it as a lover, or it is also can be described by adolescence. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballet, met to his mistress' eyebrow. Now in this stage, man becomes a lover and finds love for the opposite gender, sighs, yes, take deep breaths. Now here, like furnace of course is a place where one can find fire, and he burns with the fire of separation, and sings those songs, those ballads that express his sadness, that express his unfulfilled desires. And those unfulfilled desires are for his beloved, the mistress. Now we come to the fourth stage. This is a stage which Shakespeare calls it as a soldier, or if you may call it as young adult. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. In these lines, the Shakespeare wants to say that when he's a soldier, he makes promises. He makes oaths, and he keeps a get up, just like pard. So the word pard is like a leopard, because leopards and goats have beard. He finds himself jealous. Man finds himself jealous in honor. Why? Because when he or she finds another person being given respect and honor, so he wants to have the same for himself. And he is temperamental. He's quick in quarrel. It means no sooner does any quarrel takes place, he flies into it. And also, he seeks the reputation. He wants the recognition of his efforts, and he doesn't. It doesn't matter for him. Even he goes into the cannon's mouth, and he goes into the battleground. He goes into the place where the fight is taking place. So the word cannon's mouth means that he is not afraid to take or to go into the danger or to find himself in trouble. Now we're going to talk about stage 5 of William Shakespeare's poems, Seven Ages of Man. He calls it as justice, or even in other words as adulthood. Let's go. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with the eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. So in this stage, man becomes has passed the youth, and he has less physical activity, or you can say exercise. That's why his belly starts to grow with good capon line. So capon is a type of why it's like a bird that is mostly eaten. We call it as chicken, and he eats so much that his belly starts to grow. His eyes are severe. His eyes look keenly at others, and his dress, his beard, and his hair are firmly cut. Or, in other words, you can say that he takes care of his outlook. And whenever he speaks wisely. His words are full of quotations and sayings related to modern times. Um, he gives modern instances, examples, and this is how he plays his part. We come to the stage six. So Shakespeare calls it pantaloon, or you may say it as early old age. The sixth age shifts into lean slipper pantaloon with his spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, the world too wide for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning against towards the childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. So in this age, he is at the doorstep of the old age, and his body starts losing weight, and becomes weak, and the dresses that he used to wear now uh, he finds them as loose. And in his early days of his life, he used to have sharp eyes. He used to look at distances, but now his eyes have also become weak, and there is why there are spectacles, the glasses on his nose, and pouch on side. Pouch, the small bag in which old man keeps his important things. And he looks when he thinks about his life, that he has spent his life in a very uh, useful manner, or in a good manner. So youthful host means all the good days of life he has spent, and now he has a world too wide. His life is full of experience. For his shrunk shank means leg, shrunk means his legs have shrunk, and his big manly voice starts going away from him, and he comes back towards that childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. Since his teeth are no more with him, so the sound that comes out of his mouth is similar to the whistles and pipes. After this, we are going to talk about the stage 7, and this is the dotage, or the latter old age, or the age that is nearing the death. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, and sans everything. In this last stage of life, when everything is over, so that eventful life, the life that is full of events, and the second childishness, and he finds that all that he did was a mere oblivion, was like a dream. So here he has no teeth, he has no eyes to see the world. He doesn't he doesn't have that taste that he used to have, and almost everything that he possessed in the life has been taken away from him in the course of nature. So that's how we come to the end of the poem, Seven Ages of Man. I would like to thank you for staying with me. Thanks a lot.